welcome to Mama Mandala, where magic is somatic. I'm Hagar, and I'm so grateful to have a moment with you. There's a term in Sanskrit that I love, sarpa drishti. Sarpa in Sanskrit means serpent or snake. Drishti is gaze, it's our vision, it's how we look at things, it's the focus of our eyes on something. So sarpa drishti is the vision of the serpent. It refers to the ability to see things through the eyes of the serpent. And the serpent has been in so many ancient traditions over such a long time a symbol of the feminine. And not as a gender, but as a code. We all have feminine and masculine qualities and aspects to ourselves, so don't get too caught in that. The feminine is the part of us and the parts of nature that move through phases, that undulate, that move in waves and in cycles and in circles. So the vision of the snake, our ability to look at life from a serpent perspective in one way or another, is our ability, and think about the way that the snake moves, it's our ability to move and look at things from different angles. It's our ability to undulate. It's our ability to crawl on the ground, but also wrap ourselves around a tree, coil ourselves around a branch, help ourselves move around in ways, because it's this way, move ourselves in ways that help us see things from more than one angle. The serpent's drishti is the vision of phases and waves. And our yoga practice on a physical level can really help us access this capacity to move in waves and in phases and in cycles, and also look at our lives in this way, and also look at society in this way, look at history in this way, look at each other in this way, so that we avoid getting caught in a straight line kind of a gaze, in things are this and not that. And while defining things in certain ways and saying and seeing differences is really important, in fact, the serpent's gaze, the sarpa drishti, helps us see differences in a way that allows us to learn more from differences instead of othering each other through them. This is bigger than a few minute practice, which is what we're going to do right now. But something to think about as we bring ourselves into our lives. But for now, bring yourself to all fours, to your hands and your knees. You can do it on a mat, but if you don't have a mat and you just want to do it on the floor, that's fine too. Don't worry about it. Come to all fours, to hands and knees, and spread your fingers so your hands are grounded and rooted into the earth, and move your hips a little side to side as you tuck your toes under. If your knees are very sensitive, you can put a blanket underneath your knees. And go ahead and circle your hips around so that already you are finding that circularity and that cyclicality that is brought to us through the sarpa drishti. And then change directions, and as you move your hips around, root your hands into the earth. As we move around, as we cycle, as we wave, as we look at things from different angles, it doesn't mean that we're not rooted in who we are. Learning from each other can help us root more deeply into what our vision of the world is. Now bring yourself to center, and with an inhalation, with your hips back and your chest forward into cow position, and with an exhalation, round your back, look in towards your navel and pull your belly back. Inhale, hips back and chest forward, so you're stretching your belly and contracting a little bit in your back, and then exhale, lengthen your back as you engage your belly. Inhale, and you see how your spine moves a little bit in this serpentine way, hips back, chest forward. Exhale, look in towards your navel and round your back. Keep your hands rooted into the earth. Inhale, bring your spine to the space between cat and cow, between arch and round. And exhale, reach your hips up and back into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Hands are rooted, hips are up, heels towards the earth. Inhale and bend your right knee and reach your left heel more towards the earth as your hands root down. And exhale, switch, so your left knee bends and your right heel reaches down. Inhale again, bend the right knee, stretch your left leg straight and your left heel more towards the earth. And exhale, switch and bend your left knee as your right heel reaches towards the earth. Inhale, bend both of your knees and reach your hips up and back and your chest forward. And exhale, heels to the ground, hips to the sky. Inhale, bend your knees, look forward a little bit to the space between your hands, hips up and back, chest forward. Exhale, stretch your heels towards the earth, legs are straight. Do that one more time, and if being on your hands is too much, you can have your hands on a wall. So every time we're in downward dog, you can just have your hands on the wall if this is too much for your hands. Now, with your next exhalation, bring your knees down to the ground. Inhale and reach your right arm to the right. And with an exhalation, thread your right arm underneath your left arm and bring your right shoulder to the floor. Come up higher into the fingertips of your left hand. Reach your hips back and draw the front of both your hip bones towards each other. Draw the sides of your ribs towards the center in the front of your body. And as your left fingertips root into the earth, reach your bent elbow, your left elbow up to the sky so that the scapula, your shoulder blade on your left side, moves a little bit more toward your spine and your chest lifts up towards the sky. Breathe. Inhale and untwist. Bring yourself to center. Both hands rooted. And exhale, move your hips a little bit back and forward, side to side. Inhale and reach your left arm to the left. And with an exhalation, like a serpent, like a snake, slide your left arm underneath your right and come up high onto the fingertips of your right hand as you turn your chest up to the sky. Fingertips of your right hand rooted, right elbow lifted, and turn your chest up towards the sky. You're going to notice that as you twist, as you turn like a snake, your whole body wants to kind of go into the turn, into the twist. That's totally normal. Resist it a little bit because the snake helps us see things from different angles, right? So move the vision and the action not only to the right into the twist, but also from the right to the left to help the mid part of your body strengthen. So the right hip bone, the right ASIS moves towards the left, the right ribs towards the left, but then the chest reaches up towards the sky. With an inhalation, untwist. Hands are rooted. Exhale, move the hips a little back and forward, side to side. Make sure there's a tone in the back of the throat. So you're breathing Ujjayi breath. Deep breath in, into the space between cat and cow. And exhale, reach your hips up and back into downward facing dog, hands rooted. And remember, you can always put your hands on a wall. You don't have to do downward dog with all that weight on your hands if that's not good for your body. And now a little bit of a movement in the spine that is like a serpent. So you inhale, the hips back and the chest forward, and exhale, round back and inhale. Knees are bent as you take your chest forward and exhale, round it back. And one more time, undulating spine. Inhale and exhale. Right leg up, deep breath in. Hands are rooted. If this is too much, you can put your left knee on the floor. Bend the right knee. Open up your right hip. Reach your right foot towards the left. Lift your left hip and your left arm bone away from each other. Reach your leg back with a deep breath in. Full inhale and exhale. Bring your right foot forward in between your hands. Deep breath in. Lengthen your spine. Exhale, reach your right arm up towards the sky for a little twist. Reach back through your left leg and forward through your right knee as you open up through the twist with your chest towards the sky. And as you turn your chest up to the sky, resist the twist a little bit. So the right hip bone draws towards the floor. The right ribs draws towards the left side of your ribs. Lengthen your spine and turn your chest up to the sky. And notice what you're learning by coiling around yourself, by moving your body in this way. Untwist. Inhale. Left heel to the floor. Bring both of your hands on the inside of your right leg and walk your hands diagonally forward and toward the left side of the room for you. Hands are rooted into the earth. Press your hands down, reach your feet down, and reach your hips up towards the sky and breathe. Just a little opening in the hip and breathe. Another vision, another version, another perspective, another way to see things. Breathe slowly. Feet rooted. One of the invitations of yoga is to not get stuck in one way of doing things and in one way of seeing things. Walk your hands to the front and yet back heel up. Exhale to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. And yet so much of the yoga tradition is based in and falls into the tendency of dogma. Because wherever humans are, that tendency thrives, right? Inhale to plank pose, root your hands down. But what would happen in our culture? Exhale, hips down, chest forward and up, cobra pose, bend the elbows, and move the cobra, move the snakes a little bit side to side. What happens if we allowed ourselves, not as a way of diminishing our own point of view and our own opinion and our own perspective, but allow ourselves to see things through eyes of someone else, through maybe a perspective that we disagree with. And this is not to bypass, deep breath in, press your hands down and exhale to downward facing dog. It's not to bypass and it's not to justify a perspective and a vision that is diminishing somebody else's life in any way, shape, or form. Right? Inhale the left leg up. There are opinions and ways of seeing the world, bend the knee and open up the hip, that I am going to create boundaries around. I'm not going to look through those perspectives. As you reach your left leg to the right, lift your right arm and lift your right hip. And reach your leg back, deep breath. Exhale, step your left foot forward in between your hands. And it's very hard to know when is when and what is what, right? Reach long through your spine, deep breath in. Exhale, stretch your left arm up to the sky and twist. The tendency would be to drop the right hip to the floor. Don't do it. Keep your right leg lifted, your right hip strong, your right leg strong as you turn your chest up to the sky. Going like this is like when you look at somebody else's perspective through somebody else's eyes and you completely lose yourself. The point is not to lose ourselves. The point is to expand our capacity to understand one another. Untwist as you inhale, right heel to the floor, hands on the inside of your left leg, and walk your hands away from your left foot, diagonally forward and towards the right side of the room. Root down through your feet as you reach your hips up to the sky and breathe. And the sarpa drishti, the serpent's gaze, helps us to see that there are phases and waves in anything in life. So wherever you are is part of the wave. And if a relationship is really challenging you, this might be a phase. It's not always worth staying, but sometimes it is, right? If we don't give room for the part of the wave that is a struggle, then we miss out on opportunities to grow and to learn. Walk your hands to the front of your mat. Frame your front foot, back heel up. Deep breath in. And exhale, plant your hands, stretch up and back, downward facing dog. Hands are rooted, hips up high to the sky. Inhale to plank pose. Keep your hands rooted. And exhale, lower your hips to the floor, bend your elbows a little bit, and broaden through your collarbones. Lift your chest up as the inner edges of your hands root down and the tips of your fingers root down. Keep the toenails rooted and move the serpent. Let yourself be a little bit more fluid in your movement so that in moments in life when you're stuck, you can recognize maybe it's a phase, maybe it's not forever. Deep breath in. How can I look at things through a different lens so that I can free myself from the stuckness? Exhale to downward facing dog. And what can I also learn from this stuckness? Can I actually make room for the struggle in the stuckness to show me something? I'm here already. What is there to learn? Hips up high, chest reaches deep down into the hands. Inhale, bring your knees down to the earth. And then separate your knees and exhale, bring your big toes to touch and bring yourself into child's pose. Hands on the earth, forearms to the earth and forehead to the earth. Breathe slowly in. And slowly out. The breath teaches us about the waves of life. We watch the inhalation bring information and oxygen and other substances from the environment and into our lungs, into our body. And we watch the exhalation brings what's inside of us back out to meet the environment. We're always in relationship, and through the waves of life, we deepen the relationship if we choose to look and make connections and learn. Walk your hands back and sit. We're going to bring the left hip to the floor. Why don't I mirror you? Bring your right hip to the floor and bring your left foot to the outside of your right leg. Now, use your hands to pick yourself up. And if this is a lot on your hips, go ahead and put a blanket underneath your hips. But pick your hips up and take your right hip more to the right. Lift your right arm up. Deep breath in. Keep the inner edge of your left foot anchored and exhale. Bring your left elbow outside of your right knee or thigh. Walk your left hand a little bit more behind you and broaden through the collarbone on your left side as you turn your chest to the left. And as you turn your chest to the left, with the left hip bone, with the front of the hip bone on the left side, and with the left ribs, pull yourself a little bit more towards the right and turn your chest to the left and breathe. Lengthen your spine. Open up through the chest, open up through the heart, open up through your vision. And the serpent's vision takes us into the vision of the heart, but also into the perspective of our logical thinking mind. Let's not cancel the mind. I hear so much of a kind of putting down the mind, and we need it, okay? Inhale and twist back to center. And then switch. Take your left hip, your left thigh to the floor, the outside of your left thigh, your left hip to the floor, and bring your right foot outside of your left thigh. Pick your hips up, and again, you can put a blanket or a pillow or a block, something underneath your hips so that you're a little bit more elevated. So if you're finding yourself here, that's not going to be a really good situation for your back or your hips. So elevate your hips. Root down through the inner edge of your right foot. Take your left hip to the left so that you can ground into the right hip. Left arm up, deep breath in. And exhale, bring your left elbow outside of your right thigh and twist and turn. Turn your chest to the left. Walk your left hand a little bit more behind you and broaden through the left collarbone. Breathe. Use your exhalation to turn your chest more to the left, to the right, more to the right, and at the same time to turn your belly more to the left. So they move simultaneously in opposite directions, because sometimes that's what happens in life, right? Think of the serpent, since that's our metaphor for today. Think of the way that the serpent moves. One part moves in one way, the other in another. So yeah, while the head goes in one way and then moves in the other, the rest of the body is undulating constantly, right? It's moving in more than one direction at once. There's something in that to learn, to listen to incorporate into our work. And twist with an inhalation. And exhale, stretch both legs forward, flex your feet, ground the backs of your legs into the floor. And again, if this is a lot for you, sit up on a blanket or a block. Move your hips a little side to side so your hips are more broad. Keep your feet flexed and the backs of your legs rooted into the earth, and put your hands behind you so that you can arch your lower back a little bit. Tilt your pubic bone towards the earth and take the lower back a little bit more toward your belly, and keep that lift your chest. And if this is already a big stretch for you in your hamstring, stay right here. This is already a forward bend. This is already a movement in the spine that can be a lot. If this is not a lot and you want to go deeper, you can start to move your chest forward and your hands forward, and bring your hands to your feet and pull on the outer edges of the feet, and pull on the feet to help lengthen the spine, and fold more in as you breathe. But even here, follow the undulation of your breath. So with every inhalation, there's a length in the spine and a groundedness through the hips. And with every exhalation, a little bit of a deeper fold. Nothing in life is static. Even the things that are stuck and are seemingly immovable, a deterioration comes in, right? When there's rigidity, it's going to be really stuck for a while, but then a collapse will happen. A decay will come in. Nothing is static. Lengthen your spine. Inhale, come up. So keep the length of the spine to pull yourself back up, and then take a seat. You can lie on your back if you prefer, but for this one today, we're going to finish in a seated position. Move the hips a little bit side to side, and rest your hands on your knees or on your thighs. You can bring the thumb and the index fingers to touch in chin mudra, that common popular perspective that yoga is meant to quiet the mind, to quiet and bring a stop to the movement of consciousness. This is a teaching from the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Is only one perspective. This is not all the teachings. Yoga in and of itself is a rich, complex fabric that is woven together by many perspectives, many visions, many teachings. Breathe softly here. Listen to the breath, listen to the movement. And notice what the undulation, what the phasing in and out and the waves are telling you. If you're still breathing Ujjayi breath, still with that tone in the back of the throat, release it, soften it, and let the breath simply move. What is there to learn from where you are in your life right now? What is there to incorporate from the movement that you're seeing, from the change that you are either craving or dreading, from the change that is occurring. And whatever phase you are in your life right now, dark moon phase, new crescent kind of a moment, a waxing experience of growing, a fullness and a ripening, or slow waning, a softening back toward the dark, wherever you are. Can you meet yourself right there? And can you allow that which is moving through you to keep moving, so that you're not holding on to it and you're not pushing it away? You are receptive and you're creative. And I'm so grateful to have had this moment to practice with you. Thank you. If this practice was in any way moving for you, put a like on the video, will you? And if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do. And if you are looking for taking this kind of a practice, this kind of a teaching deeper into your life, I would warmly invite you to subscribe to our mailing list over on mamamandala.com. I will leave a link for you in the description of the video, and I would love to see you there. There is an in-depth, gorgeous journey that is coming. There is a free offering that I would love to share with you. So subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our mailing list, mamamandala.com, and I will see you very soon. Thank you so, so much. Mwah. Namaste.